Okay, hey everybody, welcome to another episode of On the Wrist from Off the Cuff. Today we have a really cool watch for you. A channel first, we'll be reviewing a watch from Damasko. A little bit about the brand. They were founded back in 1994. They're of course made in Germany. They're pretty much a well-respected mid-tier German brand that focuses on tool-oriented / minimalist, timeless timepieces with very high tech specs. So, there's a very specific aesthetic that I think Damasko goes for, and I think they really nail it. And then as far as their tech specs go, I mean, they're really offering, a lot of technology at the price point. It's not like some other brands that are out there where you kind of have to buy up to get some of the technology. Here with Damasko, pretty much every watch that they make is going to be made out of the hardened Submarine steel that they have, and it's just going to be a very high level of finish and fit for these timepieces. So I've been very impressed with my first kind of handling of a Damasko. So this particular type of watch is a pilot's watch, and some key common characteristics and design language for a pilot's watch is really the main thing is you're going to want a balance of legibility and functionality. And I think this model, of course, pulls it off extremely well. Now, as for this particular model, it is the DS30. And it's brand new from Damasko, and let's go ahead and take a closer look. All right, now in hand, this piece is just really, really nice. Although as you can see, it's a pretty stark, very high contrast layout. There are just so many little fine details that I think you're gonna really appreciate about this piece. Now, you can purchase this piece for under $1,000, which is pretty surprising considering the spec. Now, I personally purchased this from Watchman, which is one of their US authorized dealers, with a direct price of $9.95 with some really great shipping. So really nice. I actually did pay a little bit more to get this textured rubber strap, which is also factory Damasko, as you can see. Right there, I really do like it, and I think it goes with a very modern vibe, but it actually comes on a really great strap set, as you can see here. Really beautiful vintage leather. I mean, this is the type of strap that people will pay, $50 to upwards of over $100 for. I mean, this thing is just beautifully done, infinitely comfortable. I have to say there's no break-in period. I mean, you put this thing on and it just feels like it's just made from a piece of leather that's just worn in so beautifully, so soft and supple. I can't rave enough about this. So if you like the aesthetic, I mean, you're gonna get a really, really great strap option right out of the box. Me personally, I do like the aesthetic, just maybe not for this watch, because I feel like I really wanted to play up the modern vibe there, because I think this is really, a pilot's watch for today and tomorrow, and really to show other brands that are out there what can be offered in this price point, which is I think what this piece offers is pretty outstanding. Now, although this is one of their entry-level pieces, you're actually still getting the hardened Submarine steel, which has been matte blasted, and the finishing is of course impeccable. And the reason why I mentioned that is because now if you buy a 556 from Sinn, which we'll pull into frame later on when we start talking some comparables, you're not going to get the hardened steel. You're going to have to buy up to the larger 40mm model that's also going to be blasted and hardened, but it's going to cost a lot more. So really nice value add, I feel like, for Damasko by just out of the box in this model having all of the the technology available, which I think is really, really great. Also a difference is the size. From the 556. The diameter on this is going to be 39mm versus a 38.5. Really great size. Nice full dial, so even if you kind of wear bigger watches, I think you're going to be perfectly satisfied with this piece. It's not going to feel small, even if, let's say, you normally like to wear 42s in this style of watch. I think this just looks about perfect on wrist. I have a 7 1/4 inch wrist, so right at 2.5 inches. It's it's not a small wrist by any means. And one of the really nice things about this is the height. It's actually under 10mm tall, so it's right at 9.9. And I mean, I don't know if the camera can pick up the thinness here, but when you have it in hand, you just realize how smooth and light and just modern this thing feels, but so rock solid, which is really a great feature. Now the as you can tell here, we have a beautiful sapphire crystal with AR coating. It's double, of course, on the inside and outside, which is open to some debate. I haven't had any issues with this particular model, but on my Sinn 556A, the alpha dial with the matte black, I definitely have had a couple issues with the outer AR coating, already picking up some light scratches. So, but I haven't had that happen with this piece yet. It might just because it's so new, or maybe the properties themselves are a little bit tougher. I don't know. That's time will only tell as far as that goes. Now, as you can see, the crown is really nice. It's actually a screw down crown. It's signed, lines up really well. So really no complaints there. Really gorgeous. Again, those really clean lines. Oh man, this thing is just the beauty and simplicity and design here is just really top notch. So the movement inside, although you can't see it, is an ETA 2824. It's of course hacking and hand windable, all that good stuff. As far as the grade, I'm not sure. They haven't advertised the grade level, and honestly, if they haven't advertised the grade, it's probably not a high grade movement, because if they were paying more for that, I'm sure they would use that as a selling point. So nothing wrong with the 2824. They're definitely very robust. So really no complaints there as far as movement choice. It does give you that nice 4 hertz sweep, which would be 8 ticks per second. Now, one of the nice things here is we have a really smooth case back, and it is just really beautiful. And of course, since this is the nice submarine steel, I can run a nader through here and I don't have to worry about anything getting scratched up, and at the same time I don't have to feel bad about covering up a display back window. Now, would it have been nice, I do enjoy a nice display back, especially if it's on a non-diver, but you know what, I really don't mind it here because it's just so comfortable. It almost reminds me of just like a really smooth like skipping stone. It just feels really comfortable on the wrist, and just the way that the I guess the finish, that satin finish, the way it interacts with your skin actually is really nice, and it doesn't stick, kind of like how a crystal can stick to your wrist every once in a while. Gets a little sweaty, gets a little wet. That doesn't happen here, so that's actually a plus. Now, as far as the dial goes, of course, the indices are printed. This is a very nice matte black dial with the date complication at the 3 o'clock position. It actually uses Superluminova X1 GL-C1, so this is basically their newest formula of C1, and you'll see that it is really quite potent, and it hasn't been applied super thick. I mean, it's not like they're using big huge 3D chunks of Lume on here. They're just using really good Lume, and it's applied very solidly. So I mean, I guess you can kind of see that the indices do appear a bit raised versus the hash marks there, but it's nothing like you'd see on a on a diver or like a Tudor Pelagos, with the big caked on Lume there, just burning beautifully. This one is actually using a really nice formula of Lume, and it's also nice and bright. So it's the nice thing about this is that it's C1, so it looks very white, of course, in daylight, but when it glows, because of the new formula, it's actually going to glow much brighter. And this is, of course, water resistant to 10 bar or 100 meters. It actually is also negative pressure resistant, so if you're in the sky, you don't have to worry about any pressure changes popping the crystal off or anything like that. It does, of course, have 20 millimeter lugs, just perfect for all those NATOs or any strap changes you want. For me, I mean, one of the perfect kind of strap sizes to have. If I have a strap, chances are I have it in a 20 millimeter, although 22 millimeters are very popular. Honestly, I feel like 20 millimeter for a strap is really nice. Straps that are a little bit wider than that don't have a lot of taper, aren't going to be as comfortable, and I kind of just prefer those on bracelet generally. So let's go ahead and actually check out some comparables. Okay, so I'm sure you all saw this coming. Really close comparable here. to the Sinn 556. The 556 is an amazing watch. There's really no way around it. It's really timeless. It has pedigree. I mean, this particular aesthetic is so, just tied to Sinn watches. Sinn's made instruments, dials with these exact same type of numerals for flight instruments. So, I mean, there's a lot more pedigree there, and it's quite, it's just a classic design, and quite iconic at this point. Now, the Damasko, though, I think, again, it does offer some things that are actually a couple of pros over the Sinn, and one of them is the material. So it does have the hardened submarine steel, so it's going to be a little bit more robust. And then, of course, the look is just going to be a little bit more toolish versus here. It's going to be a little bit more versatile because of the brushed finish versus the blasted finish. Now, also, when you look at the case back, of course, pretty big difference there, guys. You're going to have this beautiful display case back with a, highly finished 28-24, very handsome. And you're also going to get 200 meters water resistance. But with that 200 meters water resistance, you're actually getting some more thickness. Now, if you see here, the thickness, it's just little bits here and there. It's a nip tighter on that mid case, a nip tighter on that bezel, a nip tighter on that case back, but it all adds up, and it just makes the watch just feel. And then, of course, because the watch is a bit wider, it's going to spread load that thickness a little bit better, so it's going to feel a bit thinner as well. I really think these are really great comparables, although the Sinn, as I mentioned in my 556 IB video, Sinns aren't huge for bang per buck. They are nice watches that cost nice watch money. When you're buying one, you're buying a watch that's worth about what it is. It's not really offering you tons of bang per buck. I think that's where the Damasko really takes the lead there, where, for a lot less money, you're getting a similar aesthetic and you're actually getting some upped specs. The only difference is, of course, 100 meters water resistance versus 200. But at that point, I mean, nobody's buying this piece because it's 200 meters water resistant. Having a screw down crown and being 100 meters water resistant is more than enough for an everyday watch. So, of course, it being 200 meters water resistant definitely speaks to, the overbuilt nature of Sinn and really ties into that, tool aesthetic. But as you can see, I think also, I think the side crown is actually a bit cleaner as far as the Damasko D versus the Sinn S. The Sinn S is a bit generic looking and honestly doesn't look anything like the logo Sinn. It's just kind of an S there that looks like something you might find on a Seiko. So, there's a couple things there. I mean, not to bash. I love this watch. It's a classic. It's never going to leave my collection. But, to be comparative, I think there are some definite nice features on the Damasko. Now, as far as value proposition goes, for a Flieger watch, I mean, you can't not bring up, the Stowa Flieger Classic. Now, at 40 millimeters, this is just a hair bigger versus the Sinn, which was just a hair smaller. And as you can see, the dial just has a little bit more breathing room on it, so it actually does appear a bit bigger than just, half a millimeter there. And then you look at the case back. This is kind of an old school versus new school take on these, and I think it does have, both of them really have great aesthetics, great for every day, and do offer a lot. I think if you're kind of looking for something more modestly sized that has more of a modern aesthetic, here you go. If you're looking for something more vintage style, and this is going to fit kind of what you wear, the Stowa is still always going to be, a #1 recommended choice, just based on the build quality and the value proposition. And of course, Stowa does have a nice amount of pedigree as well, being one of the original manufacturers of the Flieger watches. So really nice, and then actually similar as far as the thinness goes here. As you can see, similar profiles there, with the Stowa having much more of a thicker, pronounced bezel there on top and a thinner mid case. You're gonna see, you know, more of a balanced layout here, with the mid case being nice and thin, with also a thinner bezel and then a thinner case back. So really nice. Let's go ahead and get these guys to do some lume here. Okay, let's go ahead and hit the lights. As you can see, really nice lume there. And really center of the pack is what you're gonna have is, you know, you're gonna have the Damasko looking really nice, with the Sinn, of course, with that older C1 mix, is going to be nice and white during daylight, but is going to fade a bit quicker there in darkness. And then of course the Stowa does have that really nice strong C3, which of course beats nice and bright compared to the C1. But the new C1 mixture there, I think you can tell that it holds up pretty nice. It's not fading quite as fast there. And then at the end of the day, this is a, you know, it's a flight watch, so it's not really meant to be some deep diver and be used in total darkness or anything like that. So it really does have strong lume for, I think, per its application. So let's go ahead and do some low light transition. As you can see, really nice, even with the bead blasted finish there. There is a really nice way that the light plays off of that finish. The texture on that beautiful textured rubber strap. So the whole point of the low light transition is basically my hot studio lights. I mean, they're really there to imitate complete daylight when you're outside, and they do a good job, but you're not going to spend all of your time outdoors. You're going to be going into your car, indoors, into darker areas, so it's nice to see kind of those low light transitions and kind of get a better idea of what your watch is going to look like in more than optimal lighting. So, I mean, to wrap this up, it's a great piece, and I've just been really impressed with it. I'm really glad that Damasko came out with this release, because I think it's something that the market could really use. It's just really feature rich. Damasko's a pretty well-known brand at this point, and I think they're going to continue to pick up steam because they offer so much value for money. They're just, they're well known for their engineering. They're known for creating, rugged tool watches, and that's exactly what they deliver here. And as far as the aesthetic goes, I think it's something that's definitely gonna, they're gonna keep developing, and it's gonna be something that's tied more and more to the brand and make them more recognizable. So, kind of some closing thoughts on the wrist. I mean, really classic proportions, super comfortable, but it retains a substantial wrist presence, which is nice. And it's more of a visual presence, because on the wrist, honestly, this thing feels so smooth and so light, you almost forget about it. It is just a really nice sports watch in that way. It kind of reminds me of a modern Stowa Flieger. So if you kind of modernized, the Stowa, you could, and maybe if you actually mix the DNA with a Sinn, that's kind of what you'd get there. And I think that's kind of a match made in heaven in this case. So as far as model variants go, there aren't any out yet. I spoke directly to Damasko, and unfortunately they actually said they're not planning on doing a bracelet for this model. At least not right now. So, I mean, maybe if enough requests come in, they will. So I'm really hoping they do in the future, because I do enjoy a good bracelet on a watch. But right now, pretty much the model variants are the different types of straps you can choose to come with it. But the standard strap is quite nice, as I mentioned previously. Comparable models, of course, you're going to think, the Sinn 556. very comparable. But really, as far as specs go, we're actually a little bit closer to the 856, which is a lot more expensive. It's 40 millimeters. And it's going to give you the hardened steel. Here you're going to have that right out of the box, right out of the gate. Really nice, and it still has all those cool little quirky features that you're going to want as far as size and proportion goes. You don't have to just buy up to a more expensive, larger piece to get the technology. You can get it at these proportions, at this price point. And you're going to get, of course, something as simple as drilled lugs. It just really helps with strap changes, which is really nice. So the bottom line here, I guess the Damasko DS30 in a nutshell, I'd say you're getting Sinn 856 like specs, but it's going to cost you less than a 556. So, I mean, that right there is a value proposition in itself, and it also speaks to just the level of quality, craftsmanship, and value that Damasko is delivering. So I'm really excited about this brand, and I hope to bring you more on them in the future. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and if you liked the video, please do hit like. If you haven't already, please do hit subscribe for more content just like this, and don't forget to also hit that notification bell. Thanks, guys. Bye. Oh man, I've totally forgot a wrist shot. How am I gonna not do a wrist shot in a segment called On the Wrist from Off the Cuff? So here it is on the wrist, and here is me off the cuff letting you know that I had to turn the camera back on to record this. So on the wrist, as you can see, wears just about perfect on my 7 1/4 inch wrist. Really nice there. Nice thin mid case. You almost forget it's on the wrist, guys. That's how nice and light this thing is. It's just, and it's light because it doesn't have any more metal on the case than it needs. It's just really nice. And then of course the strap does have something to do with it. It's a super light strap there, but still nicely padded, still nice and pliable. Really, really great. And I think it looks great on my 7 1/4 inch wrist. Not too big, not too small, really versatile, but at the same time, of course, this is definitely going to have more of a tool aesthetic, so I don't think you're going to be putting this on Crocodile or anything like that and wearing it with a tuxedo. It's definitely, the light does play well on it though, considering that it is a fully blasted case there. The tones on it, it does have some nice warm tones, a couple of bronze hues when you look at this hardened submarine steel. It almost reminds me of some of the tones I see on my little folding knives that have blasted titanium handle scales. So really nice. It's not really super flat, even though the finish itself is flat. The way the light hits it, I mean, look at how many different tones there are in the material right there. Look at the way the light transitions, goes from more of a pure, bright silver to dark gunmetals to pewters with little bronze tones dancing through the light as well. Just fantastic. Looks great on the wrist. Guys, can't believe I almost forgot to do this. So once again, if you like the video, hit like, and please subscribe for more content just like this. Thanks, guys. Bye.